Hi everyone, good evening. Hello. All right, so today we'll be covering the for the project session we'll be covering the CRUD APIs, how whatever we had seen that these are the things that we need to define, these are the endpoints that we need to cover, that we'll be creating all the endpoints for in the backend. That is our objective for today. But first, let me give a brief of what we did in the previous sessions. Let's recap. Okay, is my screen visible? Is the font size okay for everyone? Can you give me a thumbs up if it is?
Could you please make it slightly bigger?
Okay. I hope this should be okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So previously what we did is firstly, this app.py is my initiation point. That is the entry to their application. We had defined the Flask application. How do we run over here? And mostly we imported the models. We added the data store. We added Flask security so that now we can access using RBAC. We can use RBAC to access the endpoints. Also, we also had that auth required, so our login and security could be done because of this app store data store. We did this, and that's all. This is my app.py entry point. All the configurations are here. So Flask security, uh, and the models, everything, initialization would be here. Config.py, this is all the configurations required by either Flask security or SQL Alchemy. All the things are here in this, and we are loading from here. We are loading all the configuration to app.py. So as you can see, app.config from object, we said local development config. So we are loading all the configuration here. Then we also created our models. This is where we spend the most time in. We created a base model so that everyone will have this ID created at, updated at, these things every model will have. And accordingly, we had created the user model, the role model, user roles. So these three models will allow us to have role-based access control along with the manager. So manager will have certain extra fields, and customer will also have certain extra fields. Then we have a request so that so basically when we talked about how do we have a request so that a manager requests to do something. Suppose they want to change uh, uh, they want to change a section or a item, a food item. They can request, and then this request class will store all that requests. Next up, the section is simply the name of the section and what products they have. So products is a relationship. And next up, products, this is the actual data of the product. So suppose I'm keeping bananas, so that will be the name, what is the price, what is the current stock, all these things will be here. And sale item is essentially for when a product sale happens. When a sale happens, then this sale item tells which product is sold how much. So item product ID, which product ID was sold how much. So this quantity. So that is a, it keeps track of this. And sale is like the invoice that has all the sale items inside it. So these are the models. Yeah, is there a doubt? Yeah, so there was one question. So backend is not totally complete. The question is the backend completed or not? So no, backend is totally not complete. We have done the models. We have done certain configuration. We have done Flask security configuration as well. But the APIs are remaining. So today we'll build the APIs. Apart from these files, we have this extensions.py. We have added the DB extension here and the security. That's it. Okay, and init.db, this is like the we run it once so that all the initial configuration, so this so admin manager, these things gets added. So this is our what we have done till now, and everything is happening inside this backend folder. We have not touched the front end folder yet. Okay, any doubt up till this point? Okay, so next up we'll create the endpoints, we'll create the APIs. All right. So we previously had a list of APIs that we needed to implement. We have written them down. So let me go over there. So as you can see, these are the list of things that we had previously in session number 1, that we decided that these are the endpoints that we want. And now we'll create that. Okay. So first up, these are the products, section, the CRUD on sections, and these are some other endpoints that we need to have. So before we begin, let's first figure out how to create a endpoint, and then we'll add these everything together. Okay. So yeah, so I had not written one important endpoint over here. That would be the login, the sign up endpoint. So before that, let's begin with adding that endpoint. So just let me write that also. So be slash login slash sign up, or register would be better. Register. What else could be, like reset password? I won't implement this, but for you, you should implement this reset password. Someone forgets the password, and other authorization endpoints, whatever need be. Okay, so for this, first of all, we'll create two different folders. Those folders are, one is the resources folder, and another one is the services folder. I'll tell you what these mean. Okay, we have two different folders, resources and services. So essentially, what these two are a way to split the different functionality. So resources would have so a request coming from any other client. This resources will handle all those requests, and once that request has been accepted, and whatever you want to do with that. So suppose if I have to parse certain data, if I'm having a slash register endpoint, in that register endpoint, I would need a username, a password, these things, all these things. So those things have to be strict, that these things need to be there. That's why these resources will first check that if these things are there, whatever is required is there or not, all the data is there or not. If the data is not there, then simply we'll return saying that data is not full, data is not available, something like that. And once that resource has first parsed this data, then it will pass it to the services. So services is what interacts with the database. So all the database calls, the whatever is the model.query.get, everything, model.filter, everything that will be done in the services. So that is one way you can split these two differently. So services essentially does not have any contact with the HTTP interface. It just knows this is the data that I want. I have the models and I will send whatever is gotten by the model. So all the model interactions essentially is in the services. What this allows us to do is, uh, firstly, services, they don't care about the HTTP calls. They don't have to return a JSONified output. So we can easily test out the services without the help of HTTP, without the help of calling that from an external client. So that helps in building a modular system. Although you can do everything in one, it's a good practice to separate these two into resources and services. Okay, understood what the different folders are. Resources will capture the HTTP calls, it will parse it, and it will take care of sending the data back to the client. Services, the only thing is interacting with the database, getting the things from the database according to the function calls. Okay, so first let's build out our auth resource. Okay, so for auth, we
Sir,
need
I
three
have a
endpoints.
doubt.
Yeah, tell
This
me.
session is second session, na?
This is
Second or
actually the third one. Yeah.
third one? Oh,
Yes. So for in the first one, what we did was modeling,
modeling. Yes, sir, I watched.
whiteboarding, and yeah, and those things. The coding I started in the second session, and this is the third session. So this is the second one that we are doing the coding for.
Sir, there was no any session on 20th of June. It was the postponed.
Yeah, sorry, I could not hear you.
There was no any session on 20th of October. It's in last week
Yeah,
that
yeah.
we had.
Last week, yeah,
Postponed
last
or
week there was no
rejected.
session. Okay, so auth resources, we need the slash login and slash sign up register. Okay. Also, we'll be using blueprints. Blueprints is a way to easily modularize this all the endpoints. So that makes it much more easier to see all the endpoints and then connect it to the main application. Otherwise, there is a possibility of import errors, circular imports, and so on. So better to use blueprints. It's much more simpler in that case. We just create a blueprint and add everything to that blueprint. So it's pretty simple. We'll import blueprint from Flask. And then we'll create a blueprint. So just name and I'll add the URL prefix. I'll append everything with auth. So everything that I add auth blueprint to will have a slash auth at the beginning. Okay, now it's simply a matter of saying auth blueprint. Like app.route, right? So same thing. Now we need to do slash login. So it's simple as that. Not very complicated. Just create a blueprint and then say similar to writing app.route, you write auth blueprint.route. Okay, so methods I can say let's have a okay, so login. And then what do we need for login? So first of all, for login, we need to capture the email ID and the password. That is the main thing. So let's have data from request. Okay, so we'll get the data and then we'll check if these things are there or not. It should have email. Okay, these things we need from the JSON. It's showing red. Let me check why. None cannot be assigned to parameter. Okay, since I've not returned anything, that is why it is giving red. So not an issue. So first of all, we'll say if there is no email or password, then we'll return. So I'm importing as required. I imported JSONify from Flask. Okay. And then what we'll do is check this email and password matches or not. For that, we need something from the Flask security. That is verify password. Okay, so actually what we should be doing is this login route should be calling a service that should interact with the database. So let me first build it over here. Then we'll change that to the services. We'll add that to the services. So first is the password and then the password hash. Password we'll get directly from this password. And the password hash will be given by the database. Let's have the query dot filter. Okay, so what will this do? It will filter this by the email. And if I don't get the email, then I get a 404 error. So not found. So I don't have to return anything. It will directly send a 404 error. And if I find the user, I will send the user dot password. Okay, user should have a password. If you go into the instance, the database, user will have a password somewhere. Yeah, so this is the password. And this is the password hash. So that is what this is expecting. First, the actual password, and then the password hash. Okay, so this will return me true or false. If this is the case, then we'll return all the data with the token. So whatever was there, like user ID, let's see what else we have in the database. We have the name, email, ID. Yeah, so name, email, ID. And one important thing, what do we need? What else do we need? We are using token based authentication. Any idea what do we need to send to the front end? This is what we are sending to the front end. For the subsequent request to be verified, what do we need? Do we need something? I'm audible, right? Yeah. So we also need something called as a token, the JWT or the auth token. And how do we create that? So Flask security has that token. I actually forget the actual name of the token, name of the function that creates a token. Let me see. Okay, let me just reference the previous one that I had created. Okay, user.get auth token. That is what we need. So this will send the token. All right. So actually, it's better to have a not based ladder so that if not verify, then we return something. Okay. And then else we will return this JSONify. Okay, pretty simple ladder. We have if there is no email or not password, then we'll return this input is not there. Otherwise, we'll query the database. We'll find whatever the email is, what we have gotten with this email. And if this verify password function is not, it does not return true, that means the password does not match. So we'll return wrong password. And finally, at the end, we'll return JSONify this actual data with the token. Fine. Okay, so this is my login route. Any doubt with this? All right. So to connect this to our application, we have this auth BP. This auth BP should be imported in my app.py. This right now, this is not connected to app.py at all. So first we'll connect that. And before that, it's generally a better way to just create a init.py file and import all the resources, important thing, all the blueprints or all the endpoints, whatever is there, we will import it inside this init.py and we can directly import from here, from resources. Okay, so I imported this auth BP from here, this one. And in my app.py, I'll import that. So now, since I have imported this app.bp in init.py, so I simply have to say from resources import auth pp. Otherwise, you'll have to do from resources dot auth resource. So because of that, because we created a init, I don't need to do dot auth resource. So I've imported this and then I will register blueprint. Okay, auth bp, I've registered. Okay, so now let's see if this endpoint is working or not. So every time you do this, let's just check if it is working or not. This is, let me try to log in using this admin at study. And let me check the password also. What was the password? Password was pass. Okay, so one of the ways to test all these endpoints is our Postman. So I'll be using that, and that's an extension you can download from here. You can go into extensions, you can type Postman, and then install the extension from here. So I've already installed it. I don't need to do it. In Postman, you can create all these resources, all these endpoints. So let's see. Go into Postman, and you can create different folders also, but that is not really important. You just need to create a new HTTP request. So let's create that. And ours would be localhost 5000 slash auth slash login. So how is this auth coming from? Any idea? See, this auth is coming from when I registered the blueprint, I said URL prefix will be slash auth. So anytime I use the slash auth blueprint, this will be prepended by slash auth. Oh, I have not run this. Let me first run it. Okay, I have an error. It's saying this module is not found. So let me just change this a little bit. Okay, so from resources.auth resource, I'll import. I'm still getting an error. Just a minute. So I'm getting the error over here. Simply, I think I changed it. The name should be here. This should be name. Okay. So it's running. Let me go into that auth endpoint. So Postman, open the Postman up. This is Postman. Create a new HTTP request. And then we can go into localhost 5000 slash auth slash login. And here you can change what kind of HTTP request you want. So here we want a post request. And inside the post request also, I need some kind of body. Body means that whatever JSON I want to add. So in the body, go into the raw, and inside this raw, add the JSON that you want. So we need a email and password would be pass. So let's see if this is working or not. And then we'll send. Okay, so it says unsupported media type. So this is generally an issue when the client does not expect a JSON format and we are sending a JSON format. So in the headers, I would say content type application/JSON. So now it knows that JSON is what it expects. Okay, so still I'm getting an error. So whatever error I'm getting, I can check. Okay, my request itself is bad. Line number 3, column number 17. Okay, quote missing over here. Okay, so as you can see, we get this admin, whatever data we were sending with ID, whatever is the name, with the token. This is the most important thing that we want from a login endpoint is the token. Now we have this token. With this token, I can now access other resources. Okay, let me try to have a wrong password. It should not give me the actual output. Okay, so it gives me a wrong password. That means our endpoint is working. So here, as with the use of these kind of tools, you can check your endpoint is working or not without even needing a front end. Okay, everyone okay till this point? Any issues?
No, sir.
Okay. Just to be clear, I have done very basic validation over here. Yeah, is there a question?
Hello, sir. Could you please explain the usage of the blueprint module? I mean, I think I missed that part. What is a
See,
blueprint? Yeah.
See, blueprint is a very simple thing. Instead of writing app.route, okay, you write blueprint.route. You create a blueprint and you write whatever blueprint is dot route. You can use this instead of app, you can use this auth BP, whatever blueprint you have created. What this helps us is it allows us to modularize the code. So this auth can be another blueprint. I can create another blueprint for a different API and so on. And the best thing about this is it makes importing very easy. We otherwise what you have to do, you have to import app from app.py, right? If I wanted to write app.route over here in this file, I would have to import app, this app from app.py, correct? But that app.py also needs to import this see, this app.py also needs to it also needs that app.py. I mean, in here it does not need, but sometimes in the register you would see it would need app.py as well. So in both ways, you need to import app from here, and that app also needs to be imported. This also needs to be imported into app.py file. So that circular import creates a issue. So whenever you're trying to make different files for a resource and a different file for app.py, it is generally considered a good way to have to create a blueprint. It is just this one line, just create a blueprint and then use that in place of that app.route or app.get. So it makes imports much easier. Okay, so this is one line that you have to add, and you have to add another line here, register blueprint, app.register blueprint with that object that you created. That's all. Simple, and that all the importing issues would be solved. Got it?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So this is my login route. Next up, let's create a register route. In the register, also I would need a lot of different things. Let's have a methods equal to host, a bunch of things. Let's see what all we need. I will have these models on the side so it's easier to see. Okay, so I need the name. The email. So whatever here is what, just a minute. So whatever I want, whatever I need in the user model, I'm just adding all those things. Password, fs unifier, we don't want this because Flask will automatically add that. And then active is something that we want to be true right now. But there was one thing, remember, for a manager, I don't have to keep that active true. For a manager, when they register, I should keep the active as false. And then later on, when the admin approves it, then we set it to true. Let's have active also. Right now it's true. If it's a manager, we'll keep it false. Then rule. Okay, these are the things. And other than that, yeah, so also remember we have different things, different data, certain different data for manager as well as a customer. So according to the role, we will also see that if a manager is there, we need to add the salary, address, department, and so on. So I think let's not add these things right now. We'll create a different endpoint to change the user data. So like a profile thing that the manager can change. For customer also, not very important. It's a loyalty point that would be added later on. So there is no new data that I need to add through the registered endpoint. Let's basic check if not name, not so let's say role not in manager or customer. Yeah, so this line I want to explain. So I'm saying if not name, not email, not password, these are fine. If these are not present, I will just send them invalid. So this thing, if not role in manager or customer. So if this role is not in between these two, manager or customer, then also we'll say that this is invalid data because other rules we don't expect. We only expect a manager or a customer role because admin should not be able to register, right? That is one of the critical points in the problem statement. Admin should not be able to register. So other than these roles, we will not able to, we will just send data back saying this is not valid. Okay, so this is apart from that, if the role is customer, if the role is manager, then we'll set the active as false. Okay, why do we do this? Because managers should not be able to approve themselves. Like the should be able to activate the manager. Unless the admin activates the manager, they should not be able to log in. So once they register and after the admin approves it, then they will be able to log in. So that's why we set the active as false. And then we'll just create this role. So we'll create a user. Name, we'll add everything. Email equal to email. Then password, we need to hash this. Password equal to hash password. So hash password is again inside this Flask security.utils. What else? Okay, email, and this is the user that we have created. All right. Once the user is created, now I have to add that user to the role. Actually, it's better to use Flask Securities user module in order to create it. Okay, so let me do that. We can also create using this also, not an issue. The only thing is this FS unifier and these things will not be auto-filled. Right? There is a thing like FS unifier and so on. So you can fill it up manually also, but since we have done that already using Flask Security, we will use Flask Security to do that. So let me open the previous one when we created user. I'll just copy the code from there. So this add data store dot add user, these things, and create user, data store dot create user. But first we need the data store, right? So we can get the data store. Let's import from Flask, we'll import the current app. Okay. So current app will have a data store. See why I'm doing this? Because I need this data store object. And this data store object is stored in the current app.datastore. So that comes back to the previous session that we had done. Inside that, in app.py, we created this app.datastore equal to datastore. This is why we created that. We created a different key inside this app so that we can use it later on. So because of this, now this current app also has a data store. So now we can use that. Okay, so now we can do this. And similarly, we'll have a data store dot add user. Just let me double check it if it's the okay, create user, that is the function name, data store dot create user, and it takes the exact same things. And then we'll do db dot commit. So also I need the db. So from models, I'll import this db. Okay, once I created this db, once I created this user, then also I can find that user. Whatever email, and once I have added that user, then I will say also I need to find the role also. Let's see if there's a find role or not. Yeah, find role is there, data store dot find role. We can use that. And now I'll add this user to the role. Okay, simple enough. Create a user, find the role that the user is trying to register for. And once the user has been created, then find the user, because now we need to find the user again, because since we committed that, we need to commit that to get all the ID and everything that gets registered. And when we find the user, then we add it to the add role to the user. Okay, let's see if anything is missing or not. Data store, we added the user details. Okay, fine. And finally, let's have db dot session dot commit. Generally, it's better to have commit inside this try. It's something like this. Okay. And everything went successfully, then we'll return this. Return what? Whatever was the previous thing. So like this thing except the token. Okay, and 201 means created. So we'll return the ID, email, and name. Whatever was the user. Okay. Any doubt in this? Simple checks. I'm using data store to create a user, find the role, find the user, then add that user to the role. Okay, so again, let's try to create that user, a new user. First, let's see if there's any errors or not. No errors, it's still working. Okay, so I've created a folder already, so I'll use this folder. So there should be a register out. Okay, so I've added this base. Base is basically, it's like, why need to, you don't need to rewrite the same endpoint again and again. So that is for the base. But I will change the base because it has /API in it. Okay, so now you can see the base is localhost 5000/register. And again, headers would have the content type because we are working with JSON format. Whenever you're working with JSON format, the front end should know that the request that is coming to the front end back should be a JSON format. That is why we add the application/JSON. And inside the body, we will figure out what to do. So let's have this. Okay, so I've added the role, password, and whatever was required. And we'll send this request. Okay, so you saw status 201 that we send back is created, and the email, the ID, and the name got back to me. That means this should now be created. Let's check the database also if this is created or not. You can see a new field gets created, and let's see everything is filled up or not properly. Yes, even FS unifier is filled, and this is the case. And again, let's try to register again for something else. Okay, for manager, what did we have? That active should be false. Again, we got the created. You have to go to the raw sometimes because it gives certain errors. Sometimes it like does not update properly. So let's see, we have this, and then go back to the database, check bamboo, and active is still true. So that is one error. Let's have that set. Okay, so we did not add the active variable. Okay, so this was the error because we did not add what should be the value of active here. And for manager, it should be false. Yeah, so one another thing that we should add before we actually create the user is to find the user. If a user already exists with the same email, then we should not create another one, right? So let me add that check also. If you get this, okay, so if there is already someone with the same email, then we should not create that. All right. So one more check we added, and after that only we'll create the user. So in this case, in the register one, if I do the same endpoint with the register with the same email, then it should give me an error. Okay, so I'm getting an error, but the problem is I did not send an error message. That's why the status is saying okay. I should send a error that some 400 error. Okay, now I'm getting a bad request. Okay, user already exists. Let's have bamboo01 with our role of manager. Now it says created. And if I go into the database, you can see active is 0. That means a manager is should be 0, and that is what we are getting. Okay. So this is our register endpoint done. Yeah, any doubts on this? Any alternatives you would want to suggest? Okay, so no doubts. For the GitHub repo, I will share the link. This is the link to the GitHub repo. Okay, so our register is done. You can add more checks to it basically if you want. Another endpoint that I'm not creating is the reset password one. You can figure out that on your own. Okay, so now our login register, sorry, your login register is done. Let's create the actual the APIs, the other APIs that we want to get all the data back. Okay, so just before we create the APIs, there's one thing. Our database looks very empty. There's nothing here, right? So in that case, the issue is that if I have to manually add all the data, so that's not a good thing, right? So if you're testing an application, a database should have certain kind of data. So for that, we'll create a script to seed this data with a lot of dummy data. And I don't want to create that on my own. So what I will do is use the help of LLM, GPT in the case. What I will do is give it the models, saying this is the models. And accordingly, I wanted to fill up a date, create a script so that it fills up the database. So let's do that. So this is my models. Let's go to ChatGPT. Okay, so I'll just say these are the models. And I had written a little bit of prompt for it. Not sure if it will directly work or not, but let's try. Now I can't find that prompt. Okay. Just a minute, let me figure that out where I've written that. Okay, yeah. So I use this prompt. So it's saying using the models provided, create a script which runs inside the Flask and seeds the database with all the relevant content. So I've also mentioned some other information like have different dates so that I can use some graphs and all to create data. And in here, create 3 different roles, create only one manager, create only one admin and 10 managers, 50 user roles. Also, I said use UUID, that's a unique identifiers for FS unifier, and some other things like use faker and faker4 to add fake data. Faker is a library that helps in this kind of work. So that seeding data, creating some fake data. So we'll use this prompt. Let's see. We would probably need to change a little bit. Let's see what it gives us. Okay, so it is giving me the script. So it is importing Faker. Faker is that library that gives us a lot of different fake names, fake addresses, and so on. Faker food is same thing for food items. Okay, so everything looks good up till this point. Creates a seed data. And so this is drop db.drop all. So that means it will delete your database. If we want to do that, we can also remove that. And then it is creating certain roles. Okay. So we'll copy that and we will keep this in my script folder. I'll name it seed.py. See, the context is very important so that you give it models, right? So according to the models, it will create all this data and also list all the important things that you need to have. So let me remove this drop all. I don't want to clear the old data right now. And admin manager customer it added. Users. Okay, I just need to change it to pass because that is what is easier for me. And also I'll change it to pass. Okay, so 50 users creating 10 managers and so on. Sections and everything it is creating. Okay, let's check if this is working or not. I'll create a new terminal so that our running Flask application does not get stopped. So you can see the modules that is imported. There is a faker and faker food, and we have not installed that yet. So we need to install that first. Faker and faker food. Okay, so it is now installed. Yeah, so now it turns gray. So because it is installed, and let me try to run this script. So one more thing, see how it has imported this app and models. It has imported from app import models. So if you have this kind of import, that means this wherever I'm running from should have a context of app file models file. My app file and models file are inside this backend folder. You can see inside this backend folder, if I minimize everything, I have this app and model. So that means I need to run the script from the app.py, from the backend folder. And also, since it has this kind of relative import, then I would have to run it as a module. So Python 3, I'm running it as a module. So this means Python 3 module scripts dot, what was the name? Seed.py. Seed. So it says manager can't import. Can't import name manager from models. Let's see what is the issue there. So manager is saying red. That means our manager is somewhat wrong there. Let's go to the models. Okay, my manager spelling was wrong. Okay, now I go back here, then manager is now okay. But the problem now is my database as at manager, not manager, as the field, as the table name. So if you go here, you will see that the old one is there, right? So I need to drop that database. So let's remove everything. Let's use the drop and create all. Okay. Go back to the terminal, run this again, scripts. It's saying creating everything. Let's see. It says everything is fine. Also, we need to verify it. Go to database. Check if everything is actually right or not. I should have told it to use Indian names, but okay, not an issue. This is customer data. So first, let's go with the user. So it looks about right, name, email, hashed, and these things. So everything looks about right. Section also looks good. Sale data looks fine. Sale item. Yes, everything looks about right. Request it has not filled. That is fine. Manager, it has not filled anything. Okay, so I have now two things, manager and manager. I will remove this. Somehow it has created that manager. Okay. Right. So now my database is filled. I can now query and then get proper data back. You might need to tweak it a little bit so that the data is coherent, everything is fine according to you. I have not tested everything out. So just be careful with that. And one more thing, whenever you're using AI, there inside when you have to declare the usage of AI percentage. So please remember to do that. Whatever percentage you think you have used, wherever you have used it, so have a detailed view of that. Write it down inside your project report. Okay, so we have done that. Now let me create all the endpoints that I actually want to create. Okay, any doubts up till this point?
Any restriction about using AI there? How to know where we can use and where not to use?
No, there is no proper restriction, but you have to declare that how much you have used and where you have used it. All right, so let's go back. Let's see. We created this login register. Now we need to create all these resources, products, sections, and whatnot, whatever else we need. So first, let's get started with the products resource. So I'll create a new folder here. So in this, I will actually use proper sectioning. Like the resource should handle the requests and give out the responses, and the service should actually interact with the database. So we'll use that kind of method. Okay. So we'll have a products resource. We have a product service. This is not strictly necessary. This is just a good way to do things. So if you're building a very large project, then this would be helpful so that to segregate things, to modularize your code, this becomes helpful. Okay, so first of all, model service will orchestrate, not orchestrate, will actually interact with the database. So let's create that first. So we need some things to get all the data. We'll create it in a class. Okay. And what do we need in the product service? Of course, we need the product model. So it will have a function that will get all the products. So get all. And it will be a class method or a static method, not. Okay. So static method basically means that you don't have to create an object to call this function. You can directly call it this function like this, product service dot get all. You can use this kind of method to call this function. So it's basically taking all the functions together and putting it into one class. It's not really creating an object. Generally what we do, create an object of this class and then use that. But in here, we don't need to create an object. We are just using to encapsulate all the product related service into one class. Okay, get all will simply call the product So would be return product dot query dot all. Okay, simple as that. Then we need a function for get by ID. Get the ID, take the ID here. So let's have like this item equal to product dot query dot get ID. And also if not ID, if not item, then we will say, so sometimes it could have, right, you give it an ID, but that ID is not there in the database. That could be a issue. So in that case, what you do is just return some kind of error that this ID is not found. So what let's do one thing. I don't want to complicate it a little, but it is important to know about error handling also. So you can create your custom errors also. In this case, let's create a custom error so that we will say that, okay, this is a error from a service class. So we'll have the service errors.py. Pretty simple. It's not really that hard. We'll just create a class of a service error. And then we'll inherit the base error that Python provides us. Error class, exception class. You can name it error or exception. Python generally names exceptions instead of errors. Okay, so that's it. I'm just doing this, just telling that this particular service is a subclass of this exception. And then I will say, okay, raise this error. If not item, raise that service error. You can modify that error as well from service dot errors import service error. Okay, so raise service error will directly exit out and it will give you that service error. And you can say not found or something like that. Else you'll return this item. Okay. Any doubt with this? I told you a new thing, how to create your own custom error. That's the only new thing that I taught you. This is basically what it is doing. It is just inheriting the exception and I'm creating a new service error so that I know my Flask application or whatever as our code knows which kind of error this is throwing. Otherwise, if it throws a normal error, a normal exception, then it will be hard to trace where this error is coming from. That is why I did this. Okay, any issue with this? Any doubt?
So the error from where it is originating?
Yeah, so if a service error gets raised, then I know that it is a service error. It is originating from a service. So I will directly check the services. So this raise means it will create this service error. It will raise this error. Got it?
Yes, sir. But we are having so many app.py config.py, and this is we are in product service.py. So any errors that are generated in this Python folder, it will be caught by the service errors.py.
No, not exactly. See, I am manually raising these errors. I am
Right.
manually raising a service error. That means any error that I manually raise, this like service error, if that is there, then I know that this is from one of these services, what I had created. Okay,
So
does
we
not.
run it be
Yeah, other errors could also be originated from here, but if it gets a service error, then I definitely know this is the one that I had created, and this is one from the service file, one of the service files.
yes.
Okay, so we have the get all, get by ID. What else do we need? A delete method. So either we can have delete by ID or we can have delete by. Okay, so either we can have delete by ID or we can have delete by object directly. So we give this function object, and it deletes it from the database. We can either have those two. Not a issue. Let's have it with ID only. So same thing goes here. First it should find this item, then if not item, not found, and then in the okay, so we'll have db dot. How do we delete things? I forgot the actual code to delete items. Okay, let me go back to the reference. Okay, db.session.delete. That's what we do.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, and db.session.delete. And then we give it the actual item. Okay, so I also need to import the db. And db.session.commit. Okay, so this is my delete. Same thing goes with the update. Here what I do, update will not get the ID, it will give the full object, right? So something like this, keyword arguments. Okay, so you get the ID if the ID is not found. Other than that, we'll just update it. So we can manually do all the things like updation. But let's see what I did previously. Okay, never mind. So how do you update the item? So for all the keyword arguments, let's have, instead of this, let's have the data.
Update it by ID only, sir. Update by item ID.
Yeah, so we get the data, right? So we get the full data, JSON data with everything, ID, name, whatever. And then we loop through this data and we will update everything. So our data would look something like this, right? So it would be ID, and so on. So for all the key in this, we'll just say item dot key equal to data at key, or you can just key value, whatever you like, data at key. So it will update all the things. And then we do db.session.commit. Are you getting this? Not an issue, right? This would ideally need some checks. Okay, this would ideally need check if the key is present in the model or not. Suppose I give it something else, like instead, if my model expects a name, I give it something else like ABC. So this will cause an error, right? Item at key, item dot key. This does not exist. That will create an error. That's why you would need a check, but I'm not creating that because there should be some things left to you as well. Okay, so this is I get all, get by ID, delete, update, and I think this is enough for base requirement. Okay. Is everyone okay with this product service? Just have a look.
So you haven't created the front end now, so you're just running with the Thunder client and checking backend.
Yeah, it is just backend right now. And backend also, I'm just splitting the things. This is just the service. Next up, I'll create a resource. The resource will handle the HTTP things. So getting data from the request, sending things to the HTTP, so the client. Those things that will be handled by the this resources. Okay, so I think this is okay. And now I'll go to the product resource. Here we will do the HTTP handling. So let's do one thing. Let's use Flask RESTful. So I think that is what was taught. Let's use Flask RESTful. Although we can do without Flask RESTful also, but let's use Flask RESTful.
Yes, sir.
So let's first install. Flask RESTful is already installed. So before we begin, Flask RESTful needs a little bit of what do you say? A little configuration, not a lot. Let's have a little configuration in this init.py file. Okay, so I'm importing this. I'm creating a blueprint for this. So API blueprint. Again, I gave it a name, API. And then URL prefix, I'll have /API. Actually, just a correction, not a correction as per se, but it is better to keep all the APIs inside slash API. In my auth, I had just written slash auth. So it's better to have it like API slash auth. That will be better. So I'll just change that. This won't be any different when you're handling. So when you're developing locally, that is not an issue. But once you try to upload it to a server, then this could cause an error. Not an error, but it could cause a little bit of more work from your side. So that is better to have all the endpoints that work for a client to have a slash API prepend. That will be better. Okay, so now this blueprint is created. Now I will add this resource, this API to the blueprint. Okay, so this little bit of configuration. Okay, and from here I will import this API to my amp.py file.
All the code is in the GitHub repo which you have shared just now, sir.
Yes, correct. So I'll use api.init app and give it the Flask app. So this connects my Flask RESTful to my Flask application. Okay, so now that configuration is done. Now let me create the actual Flask RESTful endpoints. So generally what we do is create two endpoints like this: product resource and product list resource. I think I missed one service in the product service. Just a minute. So I had delete update, but I did not have a create. So let me have a create also. Just copy this, paste it. Simple, have a create. Create will again require data, and we don't need this query check. We just create this item, right? Also, just need additional checks. I'll mention this so that it is aware, you are aware of this. Okay, I'll just give it to the data as keyword arguments and db.session.add item and then commit. Okay, these things I'm mentioning for your application, please do all these checks so that validation has to be done at every point. Okay, so item added this to the product and then db.session.add this item I added and then commit. Okay, so create is there. Product resource, product list resource. So product resource and product list resource. Why do I have two different classes? So product resource will handle everything like this: slash API slash product. If it is in this format /id, then the product resource will handle it. So all the ID related things, product resource will handle it. All the non-ID related things /API/product/ this /API/product. This will be handled by this product list resource. Better to give 3 quotes. Okay, so that means generally what we do is a get method on this. Right, in this we have a get method to get all the products. And also a post method to add things to this. So to create a product, we can't have /id to create a product, right? Otherwise, what will happen? The ID should have been given by the backend. ID I don't create in the front end itself. That is why for this particular endpoint, we have a post that creates a get that lists all the products. That's why I have 2 different endpoints, 2 different classes basically, and these will cater to 2 different endpoints. So again, from Flask RESTful, I'll import resource, and this will inherit this resource. That is what makes it a Flask RESTful class. Okay. Now for this, I need a get method. What do I do here? Simply, I will call the functions that I created in service so product services. So from product services, from first services, dot product service, I'll import product. So if you don't want to write the dot product service every time, what I generally do is have a init file that imports all the services. Okay, so I have created an init here that imports this class product service. So every time I'm calling the product service, I don't have to go into product service. So that becomes helpful if you're calling it from a lot of different files. If you're calling it from just one simple file, that is not really important. But just showing you what can be done. So from services, now I'm importing product service. Okay, so get method takes the ID and gets the ID and passes it to the product service. Product service dot get by ID. Remember, we created this get by ID and give it the ID. So this will return me a object of the SQL. So whatever model that we had, we get the object of that. Right. So let's have it item equal to this. Can I directly give that as a HTTP response back? Can I directly just say return JSONify item? I mean, I might be able to do it, but it's not a very good thing every time. So let's try this out. If it can be done, let's see. But do you understand what this is right now? This item is what we get from db.query.get. That is what this item is. Okay, let me first try it out if this works, and I'll tell you a better method if it doesn't. But first of all, I need to connect this to my this the API that we had created. So to do this, the best way, if you are creating multiple different classes in different files, the best way is to do it in init.py file. So from product resource, I'll import both of the product resource list and product resource. Then I'll do api.add resource, and then I'll give it the endpoint. So product list resource, and this will cater to which endpoint? It should cater to slash product slash int id. Okay. Oh, not list resource, sorry. For list resource, I'll just have slash product. For product resource, which does not expect which expects ID, I will have it like this. Okay. Is everyone okay with this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So remember, I have not added authentication right now. I've not added any kind of authentication inside this point or authorization for this endpoint. I don't want to do it in a development phase because otherwise I have to take care of a lot of variables. That's why I first create all the endpoints. Then after that, I add all the authentication or authorization, whatever is required.
Yes, sir.
So let's test it out. And this is the products. Okay. So base is again localhost 5000 slash products. And only thing is header should have content type. Let's try to send a request. It says could not send request. Okay, so some error is there, API slash auth login. Okay, so I had created an error here. Let me go ahead and just fix that. A slash should be there at the start. Okay, so it says where I've imported this product service from services, it can't import that. So again, there should be some error here. Okay, I've not saved it. That's why. Yeah, so it is running now. I'll go back here, try to do the same request. Okay, it says not found. Okay, so the problem is I need a slash API slash products. That is what we had, slash API slash. Okay, still not found. Then there should be some error. Okay, so let's see what we had. API is here. I added the API blueprint and then I imported this. Okay, so I've written product here and I've written products over here. What should be a good name? Should it be product or products? RESTful behaviors?
Product. No, sir.
Products, right? So let's have it, products. Okay, see, these simple things matter so much. So you have to be very careful with all these naming things don't make so many. I mean, you will of course make errors, but anyways, you should know how to solve them. That is the main point. Errors, don't be afraid of errors. Okay, still I'm getting a 404. Okay, let's go back. Check everything, product resource. Okay, of course I don't have, I've not created this product list resource and I'm trying to hit that endpoint. So mistake on my part. I have to hit a endpoint that is created already. So for me, the endpoint that is created is something with a certain ID. So suppose ID of 2. No, still not found. Okay, let's see again. You have this get over here in product resource, and here in product resource I'm trying to hit product/id. Product/id. Let me just double check if that initialization has happened or not. So we have this app.register app.api.init app. This should actually be fine, this particular line init app. Then here what we are doing, API is equals to this main entry point RESTful. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's remove the, okay, slash, my bad. Okay, so anyways, not an issue. Name. See what I had this, I had to add the URL prefix, but I did not add the URL prefix. I should have the URL prefix over here. Okay, now let me try. Trying so many fixes, still not working. Okay. Just a minute, let me just check. The actual reference that I had created is a little different compared to this one.
So you're trying to add a product, sir?
No, I'm trying to get a product.
Query the product which is there in the database.
Yes, correct. Okay, so this API was initiated like this only, same. Okay, it seems like I registered the blueprint before. Let me try to do that. Instead of using this API, I'll register this API blueprint. And import this API blueprint again from the same thing. Okay, getting some errors now. Again, trying to get products with this ID. Yeah, so here is what I should be getting. Okay, fine. See, I tried to hit that endpoint API products/2, which I had created. And now I'm getting object is of type product is not JSON serializable. That means whatever data I got from this service, product service, here is not JSON serializable. Okay, so we can try to just return the item. Let's see if it works or not. Okay, so this is a different endpoint. Okay, so same error. This is not serializable. Of course, that is what we were expecting. This item is of type of that SQL alchemy type. So we can use that. But this is not serializable directly. So we need to serialize it. Serializing means this is right now an object. This object can be used to do a lot of things. I can item dot. I mean, it's not coming, but it has a different all the different functions, methods associated with it. So we need to convert it to a format that can be aired over the internet. It can be sent over. So what this Flask RESTful has is something called as a Marshall width. Okay, Marshall or Marshall width. So you can use that in order to send data, serialize it. So we will use that. Okay. So this basically tells what are the fields that I want to send it, and accordingly I will marshal the data accordingly. So this data would be so we'll go to back to the models and we will find out what data we need to send. Okay, so let's go to the product and we need to send the name of the product, send the price. So everything you can copy paste whatever data you want. Stock expiry, manufacturing date, unit of sale, section ID could also be given. That depends on you. And these things, relations could also be given of this product is related to what section, the name of the section also. So those things can also be given. Okay, so let's just so this is the name what you want to send. And this on the right hand side, we'll write the type of what you're sending. So this name would be string. Okay, so fields is the one that tells the type. So will be fields.string. Again, price would be fields dot float. Stock would be, I think, should be, it is numeric. So again, float. Expiry is date time. Okay, understood. How are we sending the data?
Yes, sir.
Start.
What is the fields? Why we have to use fields, sir, instead of directly the string?
Because this is specifically for Marshall, this tells what is the exact type. So you can't directly write string. So this expects what should I say? This expects this kind of format only. String is not a string is just a data type, right? But Marshall with this particular function that I'm using, Marshall, expects this to be a marshaled version of that. So this tells the function how do I convert this into a string and so on. So this is a particular function that will run on this item, and accordingly it will give out the all the data.
Okay.
Then unit of sale is string. Section ID is an integer. Okay, so that is our data that I want to send as. And then you can return the version of this Marshall, and then the item name, and then the fields. And give it 200 now. Okay, so what this is essentially doing, it is handling the resource the resource file is handling the data that is coming from the HTTP, the ID, then giving it to the product service. The product service is unaware of all the HTTP calls being made. And at the end, it is returning the things that are important for the front end or the client. So these are the things that are marshalling with, and then we can send it. And you can also use Marshall with like this also. You can use at Marshall with. So that is one way of doing things. Marshall, or you can use Marshall with. Marshall with is a decorator. You do the same thing, just give it the Marshall fields. Either you can do this, or you can call this return function with Marshall. Both do the same thing. So I'll just write it and comment it out. All right.
Instead of line 20,
So
you can use that, sir.
yeah, so the data now, previously, remember what we were getting? It was I was getting an error that this data cannot be JSONified or cannot be sent over the internet. Now, since I've called this Marshall, Marshall will see the item that is my models item, and it will see what are the fields that I want to extract out of them, which are these, and it will extract them and create a JSONified version of that. Now I can send, no, after this, becomes a dictionary kind of object. So you can send it over the internet. Okay, so let's again make a call. I'm again calling to API/products/2. Okay. So now I'm getting some data back. See, this is the data that I'm getting back. And this data is exactly according to the Marshall that I did. Name, price, stock, expiry,
Yes.
manufacturing date, sale of unit, and so on. So suppose I don't want certain data. I don't want this unit of sale. You can just likely mention over here that don't Marshall. So if I send a request again, you will see that unit of sale won't be there. So you can see unit of sale is not there. Okay, so this makes it sendable over the internet, Marshall, serializable. Okay, so this is how you can do that. And sometimes what happens is you require certain extra data. Just go by our model. So our model is related that this product is related to a section as well, right? There's a relation to a section. So we can also capture that as well. Since what we return from here is this item has all the functionality. It knows what is the relation to the other classes, other models. It knows what is the section. It knows what are the sale items. Everything it knows. So we can use that. We can, if you want to more elaborate all the details that you want. So you can create a different field as well. So let's have the section field. And according to the section field also I can say. So where is the section? I think section just has the name. Yeah, section just has the name. Let's have name and fields.string. Okay, so one thing that I noticed here, see, you were talking about why do we need fields.string, why not just have string? So same thing we also do with the SQL Alchemy models. We don't directly write string because string is not something, string is just a data type. db.string is the version of the Flask SQL Alchemy that expects it to be a string data type. So accordingly, it will store it inside a string. So that is why we have a different, here we have fields, here we have db.
Yes.
Okay, so in here, if I want to send the section also, so section, this could be, you would have to say fields dot I forgot the actual type. I think this should be enough, section field. Okay, section you can have section field. Let's see if it works or not. Not 100% sure if it is the correct format to do it. Just 1 minute, not 10 will know it. Okay, very hard to scroll. See, yeah. Okay, just a minute. Section. Okay, so not getting the correct one. Let me just try to see what is wrong. Okay, section ID fields.string. Okay, just a minute. Okay, so that is fields.nested. That is what we have to use. Fields.nested. So if you want to, if there are relationships inside your model and I want to capture that relationship also, so I can use fields.nested. Okay, so that tells me it's a nested section, is a nested thing inside this.
So you're not audible.
You can just encapsulate that inside this. You can just you can just mention what fields that you want, and you can mention the relationships according to this using fields.nested. If there is a relationship, it will capture that, and the section field is how you marshal the section with. Our section just had the name, so we are just marshalling according to that. But this can be made very wide. You can have tons of different nestings according to what you want. That is amazing about this. So for our models, yeah, so for our models, get all. So if you go back to our models, let's see. So you can see there are relationships over here. For user, you could have a role. What are the different roles? What are the different requests? So you can nest the request inside the user. So you'll get all the user with the requests, along with the requests, and so on. So wherever you have relationships and you want to send that relationship data along with the current model data, there you can use fields.nested. So that is very powerful in that sense. All right, so we have the get now. What else do we need? Def get is there. Do we have a post? Should we have a post inside this endpoint API/product/ID? That is the product resource. We don't have a post here because this needs an ID, and for post we don't provide it with ID. We just hit this endpoint, that is /API/product, and we have that endpoint over here. Okay, so we don't have a post. Have a put request. I'll have the ID. Same thing that we have to do. Item we can get product service. Get by ID. Okay. If not item, if item is not found, then we return some message not found 404. Okay, that means it is handling the input HTTP messaging, sending data and getting data. Next up, if the item is found, then we update it. Product service dot, what was it? Update. That is the one that we created. and give it all the data. So data would be given by request, right? So data is equals to get JSON, and you need to manually okay. So for whatever data that we are getting, either you can use this, directly get it like this manually, or you can use something called as parser, request parser. That automatically, if that data is not present, that it will automatically send a error code that this particular data is not there or so on. That makes the front end guys life easier. So we will use that. Since we have already seen how to use request.getJSON, we have already done that in our auth resource. We will use another method. I'm pretty sure you're all aware of this request.getJSON. We will use request parser. Okay, request parser. So for that, we'll create a request parser. And then okay, so we create so request parser dot request parse dot request parser is the function, and then we add arguments to it. Okay, request parser dot request parser, rec parser dot request parser is that what creates the parser, and then we add all the different data that we want, that we need inside this. So we would need a product. I would need all the different data, all this name. You can mention the type also. You can also mention if it is required or not. Yeah, required or not. That you can mention all these things. So for this, we need the name, we need the price. Stock, expiry, manufacturing date. So type I'm not mentioning right now, but you can mention it according to the needs. Unit of sale. Yeah, section ID. Section we won't be needing because section is a foreign. Section ID is a foreign key and section is a relationship. Okay, so all these things are there. Required. I mean, let's not have it true as of now because we will need to test it out. And sometimes it is not very good to have required as true. while testing. Okay, so here we are, and I'll just do this and we'll give the data. So for the parsing to do, what we can just do is let me just copy paste it. So you can get the args like this, parse args, and then you can send the data. So for put, after we have seen that ID is there, we will parse the args and eventually we'll just send that data back, parse data. We'll give the args, that means whatever arguments it has passed, all these things, we will get it to the product service.update. So update, what it does, it goes through all the key values, and according to the key values, it updates the database. So that is get put, then again delete, so we will just do exact same thing like this. And for delete, we will just simply, okay, we will call the product service dot delete and then give it the ID. And did we return the item in the product service? Let's check if we did return the item. Okay, so we should actually return the item also. I have not returned the item anywhere here. Because returned item will have certain data associated with it. That's why we should return the item. Okay, again here, go to delete. And then we'll again marshal the same thing, return marshal item 200. So these are the endpoints for put and for patch also I need one. So we'll do the same thing here. For patch, the difference is that patch does not expect all the arguments to be there. So we will not parse the arguments. We will just check, we will just, according to the data that we have gotten, we will give the data to the product service and it will update it. That means if something is not there, suppose for, let's go to back to the model. Suppose we have the user role and we want to patch that. Let's not take user. A product is better. If I have a product and I want to patch that. So for patch, it means if I don't give an expiry will remain the same. Other things, whatever I have given in the JSON data, that will be updated, but expiry will remain the same. That is patch. For put, put means replace everything. So if expiry is not given, then either throw an error that expiry is not given and it is a required thing, or what you can do is replace this expiry as nothing, like whatever is given. So everything gets replaced in put. For patch, whatever is not gotten as a JSON data, that will be kept the same as the previous one. So we will not pass the arguments here. We will just take data equal to request dot JSON get JSON, and then I will give it the data as keyword arguments. Does it expect a keyword argument? Let me go back and check if it expects a keyword argument or not. Oh, it does not. Okay, so it does not expect a keyword argument, so I directly give it the data. Here also, I give it the data directly without the keyword arguments. Okay, so these are all the things that we required in the product resource: get, put, patch, and delete. Let me reframe that and return again. Okay, get, put, patch, and delete. Okay, and for the product list resources will have only get and post. So get is also pretty simple. Def get. And this, mind you, does not expect the ID. So I will not add a ID as an argument. Again, simple product service. Product service dot get all. So it will return everything items equal to this thing. And then I'll return marshaled version of that. Marshal items and the marshal fields, what I want to marshal with. For post, I need one additional step is that I need to use this parser. So post will require a parser because we have to validate all the inputs. So args will give it to parser.parse args. And then according to whatever it has passed, we'll say item equal to this product service dot create. This will create the item according to the arguments. And again, return this. So that is how our endpoints will be created. So just let's test them out. Simple endpoints. For this is the base that all the other things will have. So this we just created for product resource, right? For other things like the user resource, or the service resource. No, not the service resource. The items, the what else we had? Yeah, so section, request, customer, everything will have this kind of resource and service. And this is the exact same copy paste. You just need to change the product service, this, and just need to change the Marshall fields and the parser. That's all. Parser and Marshall fields you have to change and create this for everything. And accordingly, we'll add the authentication and authorization. So let's test it out if this works fine or not. Okay, so for get products, okay, as you can see, we have a whole list of all the items. Every product we have in our database, we get a list of everything according to the section also. So that marshaled version of that. And let's try to get one product slash one flow road. Okay, so I want to change this. So I need to, let's run a patch on this, and I will only send let's say I want to change the price to 300. The price would be 300. No comma at the end. Okay, I get an internal service error. What is it saying? Actually, better to go back to my server over here and then check. Okay, it says key error, ID is not there. So we must have messed somewhere. Data does not have an ID, it is saying. Okay, I need to do one simple change. Since we're getting the ID already, I don't think we should get the ID from the data itself. What we can do, either take keyword arguments here, or what we can do is append the data with ID. We can do this. We can do this everywhere where it expects an ID. So in the patch, delete simply works by ID. I think patch and this only. So args only. Not a very good way to do it. Better to take keyword arguments over here, but I was not taking keywords arguments in the product service, but it's okay. We can change it later on. Now let's send it again. Okay. So now my price has changed, but patch did not do anything. It did not change the price to 300. It should have changed. Okay, let's see what is the issue. So anytime you create an endpoint, right, you have to test it out. Once you have tested it out, then it is fine. And this is what all these testing data is for. That means, see, I have not changed, the price is not changed. That means something should be wrong with the service, product service. So update. We enter this endpoint. We are here. Let me print things out. What is the actual value of data over here? And item also should be fine. Let me also print item also. Let's say item.name. Okay, so now I'll go here and then I'll check what is happening. So item, you say price is this, item.name is flow route. So that means flow route and this thing is working fine. The only problem is the data is not changing. So since the data is not changing, the only issue could be where we have changed the key. So what we have done here, this is the issue. Okay, let me try to commit over here as well. Maybe that is causing an issue. I'll actually test it out. There should be better methods of doing the same thing. And in my database, I will also check the product at the ID. Item at key, which is the price, is data at key. So okay, just a minute, test it out. So we got the item.name is fine, item.data is fine. But why is it not changing? Let me just refer to ChatGPT. Okay, item dot key. I need to have item at key. Yeah, we can do that. Okay, got the issue. So we need to have item at key. So item at key would be the actual value and then data at key. Okay, so very silly Python mistakes. Okay, hitting the endpoint again. So we can't directly add it like this. So we have to use set attribute. So object is my this item and name of the x dot y, x dot y, x at y, and that means key, and value is my data at key. Okay. So now we got some good response. Okay, we got a 300. Okay, so that is not the correct way to set attributes, but I remember doing that previously, so I had did that. But better way is to set attribute, the name of the object, the key, and the value. That is how you can set attribute, and then session.commit. So this is how you can make APIs for all the endpoints. Right. So this you'll have to copy for everything. Other than that, we'll create these endpoints. Let's just copy paste stuff like that. Simple enough. For these endpoints, for approve patch, we'll do it in the next session. And purchase items. Purchase item is the most important thing. Other than that, pretty trivial. Using this exact same framework, you can just copy paste, change the variable names, change the service name, and then you can get the all the endpoints done. Okay. Hi, how long was I disconnected for? Hello? Anyone there? Okay, so we created the endpoints for this product service. Other than that, everything else is just a copy paste of this. Other endpoints, specifically those that are not coming inside the Flask RESTful, such as custom endpoints that we'll custom create it manually, and specifically this post endpoint for the purchase of the items. Okay, so this will be the end of the session. I think I was disconnected for a while. So I'll just check where I was disconnected for, and then we'll continue the next session from that point. Okay, everyone. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.